2023 Mazda CX-50 enters the North American lineup straight out of Huntsville, Alabama, the more rugged style than the similarly sized CX-5. Offered in 10 different trim levels and a number of fun colors, this one here is decorated in machine gray metallic. We're sitting lower, wider, and longer than the CX-5 at 185 inches overall and 118-inch wheelbase. We're in 20s here with 17s and 18s also available depending on the trim level, and they're wrapped in all-season tires unless you're in the more off-road focused Meridian trim that's on 18s with all terrains. Again, since black cladding apparently makes a car more rugged, Mazda has added some of that over the wheel arches. Jokes aside, it is a pretty nice look. Mirrors are heated in most trims with memory settings in the upper trims. Upper trims also get you auto folding mirrors, and the passenger side mirror tilts in reverse. Blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert is standard and effective. Up top, this one has Mazda's first power sliding pano sunroof, definitely a nice touch. Up front, we're looking at LED headlights and DRLs standard, but the turbo trims offer adaptive headlights as well, which are always nice to have. Visibility at night is good and the auto high beams work pretty well. If you don't like the auto high beams, you do have to turn those off every time you get in the car, but that button is easily accessible. Some interesting cutouts up here, lots of cooling, and generally an easily recognizable Mazda front end. Around back, we have the signature LED combination tails on this one. Turbo models get these bigger exhaust pipes as well, and upper trims offer a power liftgate. Push button, not hands-free, but still a nice touch, and that opens up into a 31.4 cubic foot cargo area, about half an inch more than the CX-5. Inside, we have real leather, since this is one of the trims with the word premium in the name. You have the choice of standard leather or terracotta with orange stitching here. Other trims are going to get you either a leatherette or cloth. The back seats offer about 40 inches of legroom on par with the CX-5. Exclusive to the Turbo Premium Plus trim though, the back seats are also heated. I'm very comfortable back here at 5'7", but taller passengers should be okay as well. Front-facing and rear-facing seats fit just fine. Up front, we have heated seats in most of the trims, but the upper trims also add ventilated seats, which are not available on the CX-5 at all, and a heated steering wheel that's more of a not cold steering wheel than it is warm, and it's only on the sides at 10 and 2, but still certainly appreciated on these cold New England mornings. Cruise control, voice control, infotainment control, and all your standard stuff is very nicely laid out on the steering wheel. Classy looking and functional, though I do wish the wheel had a little bit more girth to it. More buttons on the side for disabling safety features and iStop, the auto start stop system. That one is a sticky setting, so if it's off when you turn the car off, it will be off when you turn the car back on. HVAC controls are all buttons and knobs. While I prefer a knob for the fan rather than these buttons, these physical controls outside of the infotainment still make me happy. This one has the dual zone climate for those who can't agree on temperature with their passengers. Infotainment is controlled by a knob and button situation like all Mazdas, and I keep going back and forth on whether or not I like it. I'm sure you get used to it after a while, but there are a few things I keep tripping over, especially within the Android Auto menu. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are wireless here across all trims. Note that is not even an option in the CX-5 as of yet. Music pumps through a 12-speaker Bose sound system in many of the trims. Otherwise, in the lower trims, it is an 8-speaker sound system. And this trim here also includes wireless charging underneath the armrest. I wish there was a reminder when the car turns off because I keep forgetting my phone, but I do love the fact that this feature is here and the phone is out of sight and out of mind while driving. Above the steering wheel is a mix of digital and analog gauges. I appreciate the simplicity, but I would like to see a few more options in the digital area. Speed limit and other signs will show here if you're in a trim that has that function. Those will also show up in the heads-up display along with current speed and directions if you're using nav, even if it's through Android Auto. Overall, this cabin is very thoughtfully done, from materials to layout to inputs. The cup holders are out of the way. There's a rubber area here for things you don't want sliding around. There's a spot for your sunglasses. There's even a customizable physical button down here by the knob with a star on it. So first off here, we have some familiar powertrain options from Mazda. The 2.5 liter Skyactiv G motor in this one. It's a 4-cylinder. It makes 186 horsepower, 186 pound-feet of torque. That is plenty for your daily drive. But if you want a little bit more power, you can opt for one of the trims with the turbocharger. And what that gives you is 227 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. If that's not quite enough for you, you can run premium gasoline, and that'll get you 256 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. And man, can this thing move when you want to put your foot into it. And that is kind of a rare thing in an SUV at this price point. It really can move. And that power is going through all 4 wheels. But Mazda's all-wheel drive system works a little bit differently than a lot of the other all-wheel drive systems out there. A lot of times you'll have 2 wheels going most of the time. Usually it's the front wheels, and then the back wheels will kick in when you start to slip. In Mazda's system, it is still going through the front wheels. The power is going through the front wheels most of the time, at least most of the power. I said 98% of the power through the front wheels most of the time. But there are sensors running 200 readings a second to try to predict what the driver is going to do, what the wheels are going to do, and activate the back wheels before you start to slip. It's a really good system. You know, I haven't had any issues when it comes to slipping. So it is really a good all-wheel drive system. Plus the fact that we're lower, longer, wider than the CX-5 actually adds a little bit more confidence there. We've got more of a planted feel, a little bit more confidence on the road as well. Not something you're really going to notice without driving them back to back, but it is something to note. And we've got a 6-speed automatic transmission here. Mazda's standard 6-speed automatic that you get across the whole lineup, really. And we've even got paddle shifters here if you want to shift for yourself. But in this kind of car, I will just let the car do its thing for itself. You know, I would love to see some more gears. I'm glad that they didn't go to a CVT like a lot of the competition is using CVTs. CVTs are very efficient, and with this 6-speed automatic, it's not super efficient. 23 city, 29 highway. And if you drive with a lead foot, especially, it's hard not to keep your foot off that gas pedal with this turbo. So that just, you know, makes the fuel economy even worse. But Mazda has said the CX-50 will be electrified at some point, so it'll be interesting to see. There will at least be a hybrid version. It would be great to see some better fuel efficiency, and we'll see what they do with that one. One thing that Mazda really does well is they give you some good steering feedback too. The steering is a little bit heavier than a lot of the competition. A lot of the time we have these super light, super numb steering racks, and you know, I love that Mazda actually gives you some feel to it. And you can actually make it a little bit heavier if you'd like through sport mode. We have a sport mode and an off-road mode. And when you put it in sport mode, that'll also make your throttle pedal actually a little bit heavier and a little bit more responsive. And as I'm stuck in traffic here, it's probably a good time to talk about the traffic jam assist that this one has. I've talked about this in some of the other Mazda videos, but it's basically, we have radar cruise as well, which works really well, but this one also has a traffic jam assist, which is basically an adaptive cruise, or like a radar cruise for low speeds. It will actually do the stop and go for you, which is really nice. There is also a lane centering assist here, but it seems more like it just, once you hit the line, it will shove you back into the lane rather than like a really good lane centering, like with the Chevy Bolt that I had, or with the Toyota and the Lexus products and the Hyundai products. So you know, it'd be nice if the lane centering was a little bit better. It also has lane departure warning. That one I haven't figured out how to actually disable without disabling all of the other safety features. So that one's a little bit intrusive at times. but not a huge deal. We also have blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert. I love that the beep isn't super harsh, and really all of the sounds here are not super harsh when it comes to the beep for the rear cross traffic. For blind spot, even the turn signal sound is not a super harsh sound, which is nice. This one has the sign recognition as well as the heads-up display. The sign recognition seems to be more of a radar controlled system. Usually it can be either radar controlled or you could have cameras in the front that recognize the signs, but I've gone by some signs that were completely unobstructed that it didn't recognize, some speed limit signs, but most of the time it does seem to know what the speed limit is, so not really a huge deal. It was like a couple of side roads where it didn't recognize the signs, and I love how it sort of gives you this little red line of how far over the speed limit you are. It's not a super annoying system, but it's enough to let you know how far over the speed limit you're going if you are going over the speed limit. And in the heads-up display, we also have those traffic signs. It's a full color heads-up display. We also have current speed limit, and it'll tell you if you have your radar crew set, it'll tell you what you have that set to. And even if you decide to use your nav through Android Auto, it will tell you your nav, it'll tell you the next direction through here. So that's pretty cool that it integrates that as well, even with the Android Auto system when you're not using the out-of-the-box nav system. Ride quality here is good. We're even on these big 20-inch rims. You can get as small as 17s, but even on these 20s, ride quality is pretty good. No real complaints. It's not full-on luxury ride quality, but it is definitely better than a lot of the economy cars. And same goes for sound insulation. And once you get onto the highway, it can get a little bit loud, but again, quieter than a lot of the economy level stuff, but louder than full-on luxury stuff. Same for comfort, interior wise. These seats are very comfortable. These are the full-on leather seats since we are in one of the premium trims here. These bolsters feel like they're kind of useless unless you're on the bigger side. It'd be nice if those were a little bit more aggressive, but we do have the lumbar support, and the seats themselves are very comfortable. That's sort of the story with Mazda, is they punch above their weight class. They're not in the economy level here. Usually you have this sort of, in an economy level car, you have this range from, super cheap to kind of nice but not quite luxury, and then you can go up into the luxury level. If you go from a Honda to an Acura, or if you go from a Toyota up to a Lexus, there's a big jump there. Mazda here sits kind of in the middle in terms of comfort, interior, ride quality. Is better than your typical sort of top tier economy car, but it's a little bit below that full-on luxury. And it's really a good place to be, especially if you're coming from something like Civic, CR-V, HR-V. It does feel like it's a step. It does feel like it's kind of a step up from there. Lower, wider, and longer, it's a planted, rugged-looking SUV for those wanting to shake the soccer mom look. But beyond the looks, it's also fun to drive with a great steering and a powertrain that can kick when you want to put your foot into it. And it's a comfortable and classy place to be, with the features you want and even more that you never even knew you needed. As always, Mazda is the value play for when you want to step up from the economy cars, but you don't want the price tag and maintenance costs of full-on luxury. You certainly get plenty for your money here.